they compete hard under Rick Tocchet. There's no doubt there, but it's just been an up and down season so far for them. A little bit like Montreal, and not anticipated. They're on the outside looking in before tonight's game, so I would anticipate a good effort from them.
RDS's Mark Denis on the morning show earlier today. It's Habs Lunch, Campbell versus Gallo. Tonight, 10 o'clock puck drop, Vancouver versus Montreal. But that's the question, Mitch. Vancouver versus Montreal. Which roster would you rather have? One team's on the rise in their rebuild. One team's a little bit in chaos. That's Vancouver and Montreal. But looking up and down, there's some stars. There's maybe some opportunity for some free agents in Vancouver. We know the situation here in Montreal. Mitch, which roster would you rather have?
Campbell, it's not close. It is not close. The Vancouver Canucks have destroyed their team. Campbell, if I was a Vancouver Canucks fan, I would wake up every day and cry a little bit into my pillow. I'd be distraught. I see no end game. I don't know where this team is going. And when I compare the rosters to the Montreal Canadiens and the Vancouver Canucks, I see similarities, and I see one team trending up and one team trending down. You don't have any young players to look forward to if you're the Vancouver Canucks. They did not have a first or second round draft pick last year. And they did not have a first-round draft pick in 21. And Lekaramaki is already with the Vancouver Canucks. They drafted Wallinder 2 years ago at 11th overall. Top prospect for them. That's it. Nothing in the pipeline. I'd be very worried if I was the Vancouver Canucks, Campbell. Now, you want to compare the different pieces. The Canadiens don't have an Elias Pettersson. Well, they have a lot of players playing better than Elias Pettersson, and Elias Pettersson is probably going to be traded. And if I'm a Canucks fan again, I'll tell you this, I do not trust Rutherford and Alvin to make that move, because that's a very hard trade to win. I think if they trade Pettersson, they will lose that deal. Besser is leaving in free agency. They couldn't find a way to get that contract done. Their third best forward is Jake DeBrusk, with no top prospects coming. Campbell, Quinn Hughes has 2 more years left on his contract after this one. He's gone. If I'm the Vancouver Canucks, I'm planning for him to be out the door at 27 years old, probably going to join his brothers in New Jersey with Luke and Jack. Then your top defenseman is going to be Philip Roenick, who's extremely overpaid at 7.25 if he's going to be your number one. Demko looks like his career is going the way of Carey Price at the end.
Yeah, he's hurt all
the time. All the time he's hurt.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why they decided to re-sign Lankinen.
And I like Lankinen. He's good.
But is he a 50-60 starter, and is that a transition that they're going to make because they've decided to give up on Demko because he's only got 1 year left on that contract? I think the debate here is you could look up and you could see Quinn Hughes. Okay, maybe you want to equate it to Lane Hudson, but Quinn Hughes is a special. That's a hard comparison to do, but we see the point production, what Quinn Hughes brings to the table.
Quinn Hughes is amazing. An amazing player.
Elias Pettersson, 100-point player. Off year, maybe that's something you could be patient with, so you have that superstar. But the difference is the pipeline of what the Canadiens have coming down. Now, it doesn't mean that they're all going to pan out, but you have your Demidov knocking on the door. Michael Hage looks like he's going to be a real one. Jacob Fowler, one of the top prospects when it comes to drafted goalies. We'll see years down the line. But when you look into the book of draft picks upcoming and draft picks picked with the Canadiens within the next 1 or 2 years, I think you're leaning towards Montreal here. And I'm not even looking at the rosters at face value. Because as much as you want to say Pettersson may be the highest talented player, and that's with the Canadiens having a Nick Suzuki and a Cole Caulfield, your Pettersson's at $12 million or 11 and change. Well, your Suzuki and Caulfield are locked up under 8. So situationally, even contract-wise, free agent-wise, the Canadiens have a lot of places they can maneuver here within their cap. I know that they've got the big contracts with Gallagher and Anderson. Still got a couple years left. You have one more on the Patrick Laine. But if you want to bring in a big fish here, you can. Now, Vancouver can too if they do lose Besser, but how are you going to draw them in? Come to our chaos, please. You know what the Canucks need a little bit right now? And I know it didn't work, but remember when they went out and got Mark Messier? And they were like, you needed some big leadership void to come in, drop in, overpay, try and stabilize.
Yeah. I think they missed the playoffs both years. Messier was
I'm not saying that, but you need some sort of piece like that to come in to take the reins.
No, they got to rebuild. They got to tear this down. They got to tear it down to the nuts and bolts. This is a team that turned JT Miller into Philip Hedl. They turned a 100-point player into Philip Hedl. Philip Hedl's going to be a 50-point guy max. They traded somebody who got double the amount of points that Philip Hedl will ever top out at next year. Campbell, Elias Pettersson, he's like a lost puppy walking down the street with no collar and you don't know what his address is. You don't know where to find his owners. So maybe you take him in until somebody calls looking. But he is lost. And Quinn Hughes' contract is done in 2 years. You're in no man's land. You turned Bo Horvat and JT Miller into nothing. Your best players are Pettersson, Hughes, and Demko. One can't stay healthy, one is gone soon, and one is underperforming like nobody else in the NHL. We're going to compare this to the Montreal Canadiens, who are on an upswing. A Montreal Canadiens team. Campbell, JT Miller, and Elias Pettersson hated each other. I don't get the sense that anybody hates anybody inside the Canadiens dressing room.
No, that's a
room that's unified.
That's a good room. There's a reason why Ken Hughes at the trade deadline didn't even want to touch the room. He said, I'll sacrifice my UFAs for the benefit of this group. When those players will say goodbye in free agency, I'll let them have their goodbyes. I'm not going to have any crying captains on my team.
No. So, all right. Lane Hudson or Quinn Hughes?
Quinn Hughes.
Right. Nick Suzuki or Elias Pettersson?
Suzuki.
I mean, if
I know if I'm getting the Pettersson, I'll say Pettersson, but you're asking me today. Today I have to say Suzuki. 2 years ago, I'd probably say Pettersson, and in 2 years, I might say Pettersson. But on this day you're asking me, it's Nick Suzuki.
Okay, so you're going with Suzuki over Pettersson. If you go Suzuki over Pettersson, there's no other head-to-head matchup you're going to win.
But even draft picks, right?
Besser. No. Let's just go today, now.
Go.
Besser or Caulfield?
Caulfield.
Let's go with Slavkovsky or Connor Garland.
I'll take the younger player, but I like Connor Garland.
Let's go with Laine or DeBrusk.
DeBrusk.
Really, I'm not a DeBrusk guy
I like DeBrusk.
All. Let's go with Newhook or Hedl.
Hedl.
I'll go with Newhook. Let's go with Caden Gooley or Philip Roenick.
You know how much I like Gooley. Today it's Roenick. Tomorrow it's Gooley.
Matheson or Marcus Pettersson?
Did they play together in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, they did.
I can't go against my boy Mikey.
Carrier or Tyler Myers?
Myers.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, not for me. No chance. Jackeye or Forbert?
Forbert.
Also not for me. Wow, you're making this sound a lot closer than I think it is.
I'm just asking a question. My answer is Montreal, but I'm just,
Yeah. No. We went
you're a blanket.
Yeah.
I think that you can mix and match. I may be trying to give a little bit of soft love here to our Canucks fans out there. One right here that I grew up with the spaghetti skate. But yeah, I'm still, my answer is Montreal, because this is the roster now, and we're not even talking contracts or money. But we get into the prospects, it's a whole different story, right? I'll ask you one: Lankinen or Montembeault?
Montembeault.
Okay. And I know you like your Montembeault, right? So it's an interesting question.